Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Pursuit of Myself. I am really jumping in to this episode inspired by what's going on in my life to date. So I have the Myself Academy group and the Myself Method group going at the moment. And if you are a woman, if you're a woman entrepreneur looking at growing and scaling, this episode is for you. If there's one thing that is spoken about so often in these groups, it's that when we work for ourselves, it is really hard to get up for yourself every single day. And this is the part of entrepreneurship that I think not many people talk about. It's really hard to have consistency. It's really hard to keep momentum when things aren't going exactly as we want. It's really hard to pick yourself back up once something maybe knocks you off your perch, to keep really clear and focused on that goal that you want, to keep really clear and focused every day on your intentions, even when it's boring and mundane. But this is the work of an entrepreneur. This is the work that's required when we are growing, when we are expanding, when we are scaling, when we're wanting more clients, more money, when we're actually wanting to hit these goals. These are the little road bumps that come in. What is talked about consistently is what do we do on a daily basis. Now, let me say, if you're employed, you would get up, you would know exactly the tasks you have to do. You know, you need to be there from Monday from, 8:30 to 5. You'll have your list, you'll have your boss, and then you'd get able to go home. As an entrepreneur, that doesn't happen. So when we are growing and scaling, it's really important that we highlight things in our business that we can systemize, that we can be more intentional about, so that we can have the safety in our nervous system and the consistency in our nervous system so that we can continue to grow. Because this episode's not going to be about self-discipline and integrity. What this episode is about ease in entrepreneurship and how to create it in your business. So you know what? Let's just get stuck into it. Welcome to the Pursuit of Myself, the podcast. Here we take ownership of our healing. We rewrite the rules, we turn knowledge into wisdom, and we lead our lives with intention. I'm your host, Rain, and it's my mission to empower you to get back into the driver's seat of your life. So I have worked for myself pretty much forever. I think the only time that I have had a boss was when I worked at Mobile Connections. I would have been 18, 19, 20. Then I went and became a mortgage broker. I bought into a commercial mortgage broking company when I got my certificate, and I headed up their brand new residential side. From the residential side, I kind of got bored and switched into the commercial side of the business. So although I had colleagues, I was always part of the business. I had skin in the game, but really in those industries, you are your own boss. And from then on, I have got my owner builder license and renovated a house. I had a carpenter come in and help me with the process of that, so I wasn't missing anything. We then ended up buying and starting a restaurant, which I came in and out of managing. So my whole life really has been about self-motivation, self-discipline, and entrepreneurship. Now, as I am growing in this business, as I am holding space for more women, we have the Academy, which is my entrepreneur group, where we meet once a week, where we have a vault, where we go through modules, where we are growing and scaling and building capacity. I also have my self-worth group that we are working on once a fortnight, and they are growing in their nervous system. But the theme between everything that I do is emotional safety and nervous system regulation. And I'm going to tell you why. This morning, I sat down and I'm starting to feel like I'm at capacity again, feel like my bucket is full. And I heard this analogy the other day. It's like you can't hold 4 liters of water in a 1 liter capacity bucket. And I was like, I love that so much, because that is exactly how it feels when we are starting to reach overwhelm and burnout. And when we are starting to reach this point, what the nervous system does is it signals danger. So we retract, we self-sabotage, we start to get off our routine because the nervous system could be like, this is scary, but it could also be like, this is boring. So we procrastinate. The mundane becomes boring, and it throws us off our kilter so that we go back to being in the same amount of income, working with the same amount of clients, and feeling like we are not reaching our goals when we have sort of set them. And then it can be like this failure. And then what I have done, and I'm going to take you through a few steps today, is really start to create extra capacity in my life so that I have room for the growth and that I'm calling in. Room for higher income months, room for more clients, room to hold my live events and sell them out. And to do that, we need a very predictable, scalable system that you can get up and know what you're going to do every single day. Now, this is not to become monotonous, and this is not so that you become strict on yourself, but this is so you have a system where your nervous system gets used to, so that it just knows, this is what I'm doing today. It doesn't need to use extra energy to pull you into that next level, because what we want to do is when we do feel we're at capacity, we need to create more room. And then we have the ability to bring in even more in our lives. So I'm going to take you through the things that I do as an entrepreneur while I am getting ready again to scale and hold more space and earn more money. These are the really simple habits that I do in my working week. So we'll go through a working week. And I know that if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to get a lot out of this as well. Now, they may seem really simple, but I can guarantee you that anyone that you talk to in big business, anyone, it is not the big grand gestures that are getting people places. It is in the simplicity of the systems that you wake up and commit to every single day. So the first thing that I'm doubling down on this year as I'm growing my business and holding more space for entrepreneurs in my sphere under the Myself Academy is committing even deeper to my nervous system practice. So committing deeper to my nervous system practice looks like reprogramming everything that I'm doing to say that I am safe. Now, you all know, and I've gone on about this for years, about my meditations, about my morning routines, about my evening routines, about my breath work during the day. And these are the rituals and these are the tools that I stick to come back to myself all the time. And they are important because they put me in the energy of creating what I want. They take me out of scarcity. They take me out of self-doubt. And every day I'm committing to getting into that energy of this is safe to grow and expand. Now, this doesn't mean that all of you have to go, this is my strict morning ritual every day. Because what's happening with me this year that I've noticed is now that I've started going to the gym at 5 a.m. on a Tuesday and a Thursday, it does throw my usual morning routine ritual out. I used to meditate for anywhere between half an hour and an hour every morning, imagining the life that I want, imagining the capacity that I want, imagining the travel I want, the business that I want. That was my commitment. So what I have noticed this year is that that's been thrown out a little bit. And my meditation after the gym isn't as easy as it used to, because as any of you mothers know, then I get home and then it's, lunches and then it's getting kids to school. And before you know it, it's the work day and my work day is starting a little bit late. So I am starting to really manipulate, or I should say massage, my morning ritual routine into something that's a little bit different. So the days that I don't go to the gym, I still do my long meditations. The days that I do go to the gym, I make sure that even just before I start my day, before I start work, I sit there for 10 minutes and I just do some breath work and I just literally write a journal entry of intention for the day. Really simple, but that's something that I've committed to. And this is a nervous system practice of capacity of expansion. Right? This is putting yourself into the energy every day of having what you want. This is the commitment. And I know when life gets busy, as I just said, or we're trying new things and changing routines, certain things like this can drop off. But it's more important than ever that you don't replace it, but you find time to reinvent it in a way that is suiting you and your lifestyle. Because this is probably the number one growth tool and scale tool and hack that I can tell you that will change your life. Because again, if you do not feel safe, if you are constantly in burnout and push and hustle as you're growing and trying to expand into having more money, these are the tools and the practices that will get you back to your baseline so that you can do this without scale. And you might be able to push and push and push and push without doing all this. But we do not want to be limping over the line. And let me tell you something, when you're attracting a certain caliber of client, so for me, when I'm attracting my clients that are wanting to grow and scale, I don't want to be giving the energy of hustle and burnout. And that's how I'm attracting my clients. I want to be giving the energy of ease, of client attraction, of magnetism, right? That is the energy. And what we know is what we give out, we attract back. Okay. So first tip, first thing that I do is really commit to your nervous system practice, whatever that looks like for you. So in the academy, I have meditations, I have morning reset rituals, that we have walking meditations. We do 90-day resets for business expansion and business growth. So we have things that we do identity checks. What else do we do? Oh, so much. So these are the nervous system practices and tools that I work with my clients on. If any of this interests you, I think I have a free resource for a morning reset routine. So just jump on my Instagram and ask me for it, maybe the word reset or something, and I'll send it over to you. But it's really, really important and probably my number one hack for actually scaling and growing your business. The next thing I do, and I've just done literally sitting here right now, is getting really hyper-focused and intentional about my days. So what I find as an entrepreneur who works on intuition and feeling and not so much a fly by the seat of my pants, but like, this is what I feel like doing. This is great. But what I've noticed is as I'm scaling and growing and holding space for more, I need to be less on the fly and more strategic and intentional so that I know what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and I know where my space is for growth. So I'll take you through what I've just decided. Well, what I've been working on, I should say, because even this is taking some tweaks. Mondays is my day for accounts, because we all know if we are growing and working with money, we need to be intentional about where our money's going, what's coming in and what's going out. Accounts is really, really important. Highly recommend you give some focused energy to your money every single week. Monday is also for content. So I look at what I've got coming up in the week. I look at the themes that I'm talking to my clients about, what's going on in the academy, and I write content. I write content for social media. I write content for emails. I write content for LinkedIn. But that is what I do on Monday. Monday is a very intentional money and content day. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are client days. So what I was doing is on a Tuesday, I was doing podcasting and I would see some clients on a Tuesday. But what I have also found is that I am rushing to get this Tuesday episode up so that I can get it up for you guys at 5 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. What I am now doing is I'm changing my podcast. I'll go back into that. But Tuesdays is when I know that is really super client focused. That is whether I'm creating more modules and more classrooms for the academy. That is whether I'm having my one-on-one client calls. That's when I'm doing deep dives. Tuesdays and Wednesdays is completely open for clients growth, for checking in. Thursdays is business building. So I work with my business manager, and on Thursdays we do business building. We have a look at what's coming up for the month. We have a look at what needs to be booked. We have a look at or the content that needs to be written, that I will then write my list, and I'll write that list to do the content on a Monday. I am now leaving Friday for my podcasting, and there's a reason why I'm doing this. As I'm growing and expanding, I'm finding myself I'm working a lot. And one thing, if you follow my Instagram, you will notice that I have said that I've sort of stamped out of having a bit of fun so far this year. So one of my intentions is to have a little bit more fun. So what I am doing is Friday mornings is I'm getting up and I am doing my podcast. I am recording my podcast on a Friday morning. That means I'll have my hair done. I'll have my makeup done because I'm doing videos. And I can then leave the rest of the Friday afternoon to do whatever I want. If I want to be doing more client check-ins, if I want to be doing more business building, if I want to take the afternoon off and have lunch with a girlfriend, I know that if I have stuck to my self-discipline and I've stuck to my word during the week, I will have Friday afternoons to either be working or have it off. So the reason I say that is because I know a lot of women in my world that are building programs and building offers. This is the big idea, right? Is to be able to work, let's say, a 4-day week, is to be able to have a Friday afternoon off. But what so often happens is we are not respecting the fact that we are in different seasons of our lives. We want to start being an entrepreneur to have the end goal already done. We see all the entrepreneurs on social media having the ease and the afternoons off and the beach mornings. But then what we also don't see is the fact that there is a ton of hard work that has come in before there's been that ability to do that. So what I don't want to be doing is selling this lifestyle of the freedom lifestyle entrepreneur, work anywhere, do this. Yes, that is the goal, but it has taken a lot of years to get to that point. A lot of years to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to optional have a Friday afternoon off. Again, I do not want to be selling the hustle and burnout, but I also don't want to be selling the 4-day week when you're just starting to grow a business and grow as an entrepreneur. You know, the fact is that we are really hardworking balls to the wall. The fact is that when you have a really clear goal in mind of what you're working towards, it is really easy to actually work hard because you're working towards something. You know, when we don't have that clarity as to what we want, and it can't just be, I want to be making more money. We see these people having the Friday afternoons off, like, I want that. We cannot jump timelines until we have really sat down and worked hard on what our end goal is and why. So I just want to put that little preface in there. So that is my working week at the moment. I will update you if things shift and change. But at this stage, that is what I've just literally written down in front of me, and that is what's feeling good to me. So I'm going to keep going with that. And again, if things shift, then I will let you. The other thing, actually, what I will say before I end this part of the daily habits is I see a lot of people talk about Sunday afternoons being that, hey, if you only spend half an hour working on your week on a Sunday afternoon, it can change your whole week. It can just half an hour here and set everything up. And yes, whilst I see that and understand it, as a mother with 3 children and a partner, it is not something that I have loved actually doing. I do love being in flow. And as much as my weeks, I'm putting strict structure in place now, I do want to respect my intuition and my flow and honor that, especially on the weekends. So this isn't about what's right and wrong. This is about give yourself permission to go, what actually works for you? If you can sit down at 6 or 7 o'clock at night and open your books and have a look at your to-do list and see what's coming up for you in the week, and you feel really good about putting a few things in place, then do it. But if it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel like it's aligned with you and who you are, then try it and then get honest with yourself. A lot of the work that we do is in finding our own unique blueprint, actual roadmap to your success, to what feels good, to what makes you get out of bed. And as I say, to do that, to find your roadmap isn't just, you're not going to put a dollar figure and go, I just want more money. It is, I want to be building X. I want to be impacting this many people. I want to be transforming this. I want my business to be doing this, right? And I'm going to come back to this statement whole time, and this is what you know that I'm here for. Just wanting more money is not going to motivate you to do all this. You have to have a really clear idea of what you're building and why, and that's when we work out our roadmap and our unique blueprint. Okay, so next habit. I am using more tools and more delegating tools this year. So what I've found is I've been teetering on the edge of ClickUp for a really long time. I've got tasks in there. I've got some over there. You know, my business manager is on. She checks things out, you know, and we just haven't been using it to its full capability. So I know now with everything that I'm building, I need to get really committed to using ClickUp as the tool. You look, there's Notion, there's Trello, there's so many things that you can do. But as a woman entrepreneur who is scaling really, really fast, I need to have a system in the back end that's going to back me up. And that is not going to work anymore with just fly by the seat of my pants, little to-do lists on the side of my desk, you know, random phone calls like in and out with my BDM about, hey, what about this? I need a full scalable system. Yes, boring, but it needs to be there, so that I can check up what I'm doing and when, so that we can compare notes all the time, so that I have my to-do list on there, what content needs to be written. I can have a look at what's being done for the podcast. I can see how many modules I'm recording this week for the academy. But having a system that you commit to, and this is the biggest tip that I will give you, is going to give your life ease, and it's going to show your nervous system that as you're scaling and growing, hey, I got you. I've got you on the back end. If you are at capacity and you are flying by the seat of your pants, then you are not going to have the room to put that 4 liters of water into your 1 liter bucket. We are expanding and building capacity. Okay, another habit that I have really committed to, and I've been actually committed to this habit for a while. I have just fallen off my perch a little bit with Instagram and the algorithms and all the other things that we go, because as you know, don't share a lot of my personal life on social media. And that actually feels really good to me. But what I do find myself doing is when I don't do a post, or when I feel like, my views are down, or when I feel like, my gosh, something's happening with the algorithm, I tend to fall back into that pattern of, oh my God, what can I post? What can I do that's going to get the algorithm up? What I am doing now is getting super intentional about what I post and keeping to my standards, my high standards of not sharing too much of my personal life. Now, the way that I'm doing that is, as I said, scheduling and looking at my social media content on a Monday. The reason I'm doing this is because so much that I love about my business is about on the fly, just picking up my phone and chatting to you guys. And none of that's going to change. But if I become even more intentional about the things that I'm posting, even more magnetic in my messaging, even more intentional as to who I'm speaking to, it does continue to raise my standards to hold myself accountable to what I don't want to post. And this is the thing that I find so much in social media, and it's also in the academy at the moment. It's a big topic. I have a whole section in the vault on social media and social media messaging and authenticity in social media, because a lot of the women that I work with, they don't want to show their personal life on social media, but they feels like there is this pressure to do so. They feel like if they don't do that, then how are they going to grow? So what we actually need to do is hold ourselves to our high standards, but be really, really intentional as to what you are sharing and when. So instead of sharing a lot of personal life, if that doesn't feel good to you, then we are really, really intentional about the education, the leadership that we are sharing online, so that it is not just a fly by the seat of your pants. Because when you do put energy into something, when you do put your magnetism into something, when you do put your authenticity into something, it will land. But if we put this, oh, maybe I should be doing it a little bit more this way because I'm not showing my personal life, it will fall flat. So this year, one of the habits that I'm keeping up, and one of that I've been trying with my group, is to find ways to be sharing on social media that are super authentic, super aligned, very intentional, so that they get the traction that you deserve, so that the energy that you're putting out is magnetic to what you're trying to call in. Because the fact is, you don't have to share all your personal life on social media. We are just made to believe that we should. And if we're not getting the traction, then we're made to believe that we're doing something wrong. So that is something that we work on quite diligently behind the scenes, because I know that it is a roadblock for so many of the women that I work with. I don't want to be putting my life on social media, and I'm here to tell you that you don't have to, right? There is something about a personal brand that is not a personal identity. You can bring your personal brand online without bringing your personal identity online. And this is the really slight tweaks that we can make when you are showing up, to know that you are bringing your brand and not who you are as your identity. Because the identity is the part that will scale. That's the mindset. That's the growth. That's the who am I being and what do I need to be to bring in the money and the clients and that I want. That's the identity piece. But the brand that you're bringing online is not who you are, it's what you're bringing, okay? And there's a really big distinction in that. I have a lot of this work that I'm working on behind the scenes in the academy, obviously. We do identity checks. We're doing business identity checks so that you know deeply who you are bringing online and what you are attracting. But this is where the wealth energetics come in. This is where the wealth recalibration comes in. This is who do I need to be to have do I want? And if you've been following and listening to my podcast for however long, you'll know that this is the part, the nervous system, the identity. This is the scalable part. All these other systems and processes can be tweaked to match your personal blueprint so that you can become magnetic to the high standards. You can become magnetic to the clients, to the money that you want and that you desire. But all the systems in the back end are the energetic systems to increase your nervous system capacity to be able to hold the 4 liters, because you've expanded your liter bucket to be a 4-liter bucket. That is the trick. So they are some of the habits. That's all I've got written down next to me at the moment. I can't actually think of anything. I'm sure there's more, but I will update you as I go along. If you're on Instagram, I'll be updating you there. If you have, actually, I put a question box up on Instagram to say, is there anything in my podcasts that you'd like me to talk about, any topics. So let me know, because I'd love to connect with you deeper on these topics. But I love that you are here, and I really feel like just making a few tweaks as a woman entrepreneur to your life will start giving you more capacity in your bucket so that you can hold more of what it is that you're calling in. I will record my next podcast on a Friday morning. I will be posting it again next Wednesday at 5 a.m. And I will keep you updated on these high daily habits of an entrepreneur who is scaling and growing her business. Ciao.